There is a power inside of you that the world has tried to silence, a warrior coded into your biology, hidden beneath layers of comfort, distraction, and compromise. You are not created to live soft, distracted, and reactive. The warrior within you is not a myth. It is not poetic. It is biological, it is electrical, and it is divine. Your body was not designed to live in constant fear or fragile comfort. It was wired by God to face adversity, to push into the storm, to rise when most retreat. At the very core of your nervous system lies the sympathetic branch, what many mistake as the stress response. But in its proper alignment, it is the system of pursuit, of engagement, of readiness. It is not a flaw, it is fire. And it only burns when you choose to confront discomfort rather than run from it. Your fight, your clarity, your power. All of it is bound to this sacred design. You are not meant to flee from challenge. You are meant to enter it with eyes wide open, heart on fire, and breath controlled. When you step into discomfort on purpose, whether it's physical, emotional, or spiritual, you awaken that system. You teach your brain that fear does not control you. You show your body that pain is not a prophecy of failure, but a gate to transformation. Every time you move into pressure deliberately, you rewire the ancient circuits of your nervous system to stand firm instead of collapse. You train your hypothalamus and brainstem not to react with panic, but to rise with precision. You shift from prey to predator, not through aggression, but through alignment with your deepest assignment. You are made for moments like this, not when it's easy, not when it's calm, but when the chaos rises and something inside you refuses to break. But you must activate it, you must train it, because if you don't, the same system that can make you powerful will make you a slave to fear. Without exposure to controlled stress, the sympathetic nervous system becomes disordered. It begins to fire in the presence of small problems, inflating every discomfort into a crisis. That's what happens when the warrior is dormant, when the sword is never drawn. But when you put your body under pressure daily, cold breath holds, fasted movement, focused stillness, you are not just building habits. You are forging the neural resilience that makes you impossible to intimidate. You're transforming the chaos of sensation into a signal for strength. This is not self-help. This is spiritual obedience at the cellular level. You are not just a body. You are not just a brain. You are a vessel of power with a system designed to obey your spirit. If you train it, you cannot wait to feel strong. You must teach your body what strength looks like. You must demand that your nervous system follow your mission, not your emotions. That's how the warrior is awakened. That's how fire begins to flow through every nerve, every breath, every word. You stop waiting for courage and start commanding it, not recklessly, not emotionally, but with holy clarity, with sacred repetition, until your system learns that we do not bow to fear, we rise through it. Dopamine is not just the molecule of pleasure. It is the fuel of pursuit, the divine spark that drives forward motion, the fire embedded deep within your nervous system that pushes you to act. But in a world consumed by comfort and addicted to immediacy, dopamine has been hijacked. It's been rerouted to empty loops, likes, sugar, scrolling, escapism. And when dopamine is constantly released in response to passive pleasure, the system breaks. The reward circuitry becomes desensitized, and the brain begins to crave stimulation without sacrifice. The warrior within dies, not because of weakness, but because the wiring of pursuit has been severed. But you can take it back, you can retrain it, you can rebuild the sacred connection between action and reward, between struggle and satisfaction, by learning to crave the climb instead of the summit. Your brain is malleable. It learns what you feed it. If you reward laziness with entertainment, it will crave more of it. But if you begin to reward effort, raw, disciplined, sacrificial effort, you will light up the same dopaminergic pathways that once enslaved you, now in service of your mission. The real transformation comes when dopamine is no longer attached to the result, but to the obedience. You fast, you train, you rise early. not because it feels good in the moment, but because each act becomes a rehearsal for eternity. Every rep, every breath, every step taken without applause becomes a message to your nervous system. This is who we are now. When you delay gratification, when you push without seeing the finish line, your brain begins to shift. It recognizes the value in forward motion. It learns that the release of reward doesn't have to come after achievement. It can come in the act of discipline itself. That is holy, that is powerful, because now every step you take on the hard path reinforces your identity. You're no longer chasing pleasure, you're chasing purpose. You no longer move to feel good. You move because you're aligned with something higher than mood, stronger than fear, and your dopamine system becomes your ally in the war against weakness. This is how the ancient systems are redeemed. You were not made to be numb. You were not created to be dependent on external triggers. You were designed to be internally ignited by meaning, by obedience, by the pursuit of what is righteous even when it is hard. When dopamine is rewired to reward discipline, the warrior awakens. Now you rise not out of desperation, but out of direction. Your brain no longer asks for comfort, it demands challenge. And every time you take a hard step and link it to joy, every time you fight without needing to feel like fighting, every time you delay what the world worships, you are forging a nervous system that no longer needs permission to act. It moves because it was commanded to move. It advances because you have declared that reward lies in the work. The body wakes up before the mind. Long before thoughts form or plans unfold, your biology is scanning the environment, searching for signals. Is it time to engage or time to retreat? And what you do in the first moments of your day, before the noise, before the phone, before the world speaks, either ignites your internal command center or leaves it dull, drifting, and unarmed. Your brain, specifically your circadian and dopaminergic systems, responds directly to light, movement, and breath. When you expose your eyes to natural light early in the day, when you move your body deliberately, when you control your breath and anchor your focus, you're not just starting the day. You're building the warrior state from the inside out. You are lighting the brain's fire and aligning its chemistry with purpose. When you fail to command your mornings, your nervous system stays reactive. It waits for pressure to arrive before it acts. But when you start your day with deliberate physiological activation, you flip the script, you take control. You tell your biology what kind of person you are. Morning light floods the retina and signals the suprachiasmatic asthmatic nucleus, your brain's internal clock. That light regulates cortisol, your natural go hormone, and aligns your energy systems with the mission. Add movement, even just a few minutes of intensity, and you release epinephrine and dopamine, sharpening your focus like a blade. These are not casual habits. These are sacred activations of the warrior state. They tell the brain, we are no longer asleep. We are on assignment. This is not about hustle. It's about alignment, because the same light that sets your rhythm also sets your discipline. The same breath that anchors your mind also suppresses distraction. The same movement that activates adrenaline also silences fear. When done with intention, these morning protocols form the architecture of identity. You don't rise and then become strong. You rise to become strong. You step into the day as a declaration that weakness will not dictate who you are. And every morning you choose this ritual, your nervous system begins to believe it. There is a sacred power in the first hour of your day. It is the hour of decision, the hour of declaration, and your brain is watching. It's recording patterns. It's building associations. If you begin your day from distraction, your brain will crave it. If you begin in discipline, your brain will lock onto it. This is the forge where warriors are built, not by accident, but by physiological design, light, breath, movement. These are the modern day swords. And when wielded correctly, they awaken a force within you that cannot be taught, only trained. When you command your mornings, you no longer chase energy, you generate it. You no longer wait for clarity, you create it, and the mind, once scattered, becomes focused, laser-focused, not by hype, not by motivation, but by wiring, by protocol, by stepping into the morning as if it is holy ground, because it is. It is the gate to your future, and the gate must be guarded by ritual. Pain is not your enemy, it's your forge. Discomfort is not a threat, it is the doorway through which the warrior steps into identity. When you voluntarily step into controlled discomfort, especially through cold exposure, you are not just doing something hard. You are commanding your nervous system to obey purpose over panic. The cold shocks the skin, the blood vessels constrict, the breath shortens, and everything in your biology screams, "Get out." But when you stay, when you override the urge to flee, your brain learns that emotion is not the master, it is the servant. You're not just resisting the cold, you are retraining the very circuits responsible for self-control, discipline, and courage. This is not a wellness hack. It is a biological altar where weakness is sacrificed and authority is reclaimed. Inside your brain, the moment you enter cold, signals race through the periaqueductal gray, the insula, and the brainstem, preparing you to fight or flee. Most people flee, but the warrior stays. The warrior breathes. The warrior slows the chaos in his body by commanding the breath, by controlling the mind, by choosing stillness in the storm. Every second you hold the line, every moment you embrace the pain instead of running from it, you are reinforcing the prefrontal cortex's authority over the limbic system. You're not just building toughness, you are building neural dominance. The same circuits that control reactivity in the cold control reactivity in temptation, in stress, in distraction, in fear. Mastering the cold is mastering the nervous system under fire. You weren't made to live soft. You weren't designed for convenience. Your biology was crafted for adversity, but modern life has removed the struggle, and with it, removed the fire. But when you reintroduce suffering by choice, when you voluntarily do what is hard and stay until the impulse to run dies, you awaken a force within you that most never tap. You begin to look discomfort in the face and say, "You do not rule me." You build a system that no longer flinches, a body that no longer bows, a mind that moves forward when others freeze. That is not mental toughness. That is spiritual alignment with your biology, and it is earned not through comfort, but through confrontation. The cold reveals who you are, not to others, but to yourself, and more importantly, it shows your brain what kind of man or woman you are becoming. Each repetition reinforces a deeper identity. I do hard things. I finish what I start. I stay calm under pressure. This identity doesn't come from reading or dreaming. It comes from doing, from standing in the fire and refusing to move until your nervous system follows your will. This is discipline at its most primal level. It is obedience under pressure. It is power over reaction. And every time you submit your body to the cold and refuse to quit, you are not just enduring, you are transforming. From reactive to relentless, from emotional to intentional, from fragile to forged, the brain craves order. Not comfort order, it looks for patterns, repetition, rituals. When it finds them, it builds stability, predictability, and identity. But in the absence of structure, the mind wanders, weakens, and becomes prey to every impulse, every distraction, every emotional wave. This is why rituals, daily, sacred, immovable, are not just habits. They are anchors for the warrior's mind. They are spiritual scaffolding for mental clarity. Every morning you repeat your routine. Every night you honor your shutdown protocol. Every hour you obey the rhythm you've set. You are not simply organizing your day, you are imprinting identity into your nervous system. You are showing your brain again and again, this is who we are, this is how we move, this is what we serve. In the structure, you find freedom. In the rhythm, you find power. The brain rewards this alignment with increased dopamine stability, decreased anxiety, and elevated executive function. This means clearer decision making, stronger emotional control, and faster recovery under pressure. The prefrontal cortex, the seat of self, command thrives on routine. It fires most efficiently when it doesn't have to negotiate every choice. Rituals remove friction. They silence the mental noise. You don't wake up wondering what to do. You rise already moving in rhythm. You don't wait for motivation. You ride the momentum built from yesterday's obedience. That is how warriors move. Not randomly, not reactively, but with order born from discipline. Even spiritual ancient texts echo this truth. What you do daily shapes who you become eternally. Neuroscience now confirms it. Repeated behavior under intention reshapes the synaptic architecture of your brain. In simple terms, your rituals become your reality. Whether that ritual is chaos or consistency is your decision. Every action repeated becomes a groove in the brain. Groove becomes pattern, pattern becomes identity, and once identity is rooted, behavior follows it effortlessly. This is why the ones who seem to move without resistance are not more gifted, they are more structured. They don't think about discipline, they live inside it. They don't chase flow. They build systems that summon it. The warrior understands this. The warrior does not wait for the world to quiet down. The warrior creates his own quiet through sacred structure. Morning protocol, movement, cold, silence, nutrition, light, work blocks, recovery windows. All of it adds up to one truth. We are not ruled by the chaos around us because we have built order within us. The brain responds to this with strength. The soul responds to this with peace, because deep inside every person is a cry for alignment not with impulse, but with purpose. And so you rise day after day, not to perform for the world, but to program your brain, to establish that your life is not reaction, it is rhythm. That your energy is not random, it is engineered. That your strength is not found, it is formed in the invisible repetition of obedience. Because when ritual becomes law in your mind, hesitation dies, and the warrior within walks freely in the world, already decided, already aligned, already unstoppable. The warrior within you is not discovered, he is forged, forged in repetition, forged in resistance. Forged in the fire of choices made when no one is watching. Too many wait for discipline to arrive like a wave, a lightning strike, a moment of sudden power. But discipline is not found in inspiration. It is born through obedience, through the deliberate, often unseen act of doing what must be done, especially when you don't feel like doing it. The brain, through a process called neuroplasticity, watches what you repeat. It listens to what you honor. It reshapes itself based on what you rehearse. Every act of obedience builds a deeper identity. Every time you show up when it's hard, when it's cold, when you're tired, when there is no audience, you're not just checking a box. You are training the mind to become a soldier, a servant of purpose, a weapon for mission. This is the war most people avoid. The war against the self, against the inner voice of delay, of comfort, of compromise. But those who step into that war, who wake up and choose to suffer with intention, who do the push-up, take the cold, delete the distraction, close the door, finish the set, they are not just building strength. They are reshaping the neural circuits that determine how their life will unfold. Because the brain doesn't build discipline through hope. It builds it through hardship, through sweat, through structure, through the exact moments when your emotions scream no, and your body moves anyway. The warrior is not emotional, he is intentional. He is built by those who understand that pain is a teacher, not a curse. That pressure is not punishment, but preparation. That every act of obedience in the dark will be revealed in the light as power, resilience, and authority. And so, he doesn't fear resistance, he welcomes it, because resistance is the forge. It is the holy place where weakness is burned away, and what remains is clean, focused, and unshakable. There are no shortcuts to this transformation. There is no hack for becoming a person of strength. There is only practice. Repetition, spiritual discipline paired with biological law. And when that is repeated enough, something sacred happens. The hard becomes normal. The difficult becomes desired. The daily effort becomes identity. Your body begins to crave the challenge, not escape it. Your mind begins to sharpen under pressure instead of break. Your soul begins to rise, not because of emotion, but because it has been trained to rise through fire. And so the path is clear. If you want to find the warrior, stop looking. Start building. With every rep, every breath, every act of control, you are not becoming someone new. You are remembering who you were designed to be. This is not about discipline as a task. This is about discipline as a declaration. A neural declaration written into your brain through blood, breath, and belief. One decision at a time, one sacrifice at a time, one holy act of defiance against weakness until there is no longer a gap between who you say you are and what your body does under pressure.